Hi, today we're fixing our jet washer that's suddenly packed up. This probably applies to a lot of AC motors, like in those Saniflow pumped toilet units that have AC motors on. Probably loads of other things as well. So this is a Champion jet washer, seeing good service, many years old, doing a huge amount of jet washing with it at the moment, suddenly stopped working. First thought was maybe the water pump had packed up, so as you can see I've dismantled a lot of it already. Excuse all the mess. So first thing I did was to take off the end of the water pump and mechanism. So I undid these four bolts here. Beware though that if you do this, there's actually oil in this chamber. It's quite a nice design. It's a rotating system with a plate that's slightly offset to one side that pushes on plungers. About, I think there's 3 or 4 plungers in there, so the plungers move up and down, do the pumping. Ball bearing track in it, not particularly worn despite all the hard work. On the Karcher jet washers, I've had a couple of those, and the plastic components around the pump part normally split and pack up due to the high pressure, so no longer buy those makes. This Champion one has served us quite well. So I thought I'd take the pump apart, see if the motor's seized. Took it apart, the motor's fine, rotates, apart from all the oil coming out everywhere, which I had to refill, which is now all over the drive. There was no problem in there. So then I went back to looking at the electrics, and one common thing on AC motors is the capacitor that goes, and as soon as I took it apart, as you can see here, see the capacitor is completely disintegrated. That was popped in there, that was screwed on there. So these are high voltage capacitors. This one is 25 microfarads at 400 and something, 400 to 500 volts. As you can see, the cap is blown off, the insides are completely being obliterated. So it should be a simple job to replace this with a part of the same capacitance value. See, 25 microfarads at, well, it's guaranteed at 420 volts, it lasts 10,000 hours. This was a similar, not quite the same size, but a similar capacitor that I just happened to have in my drawer, in my stock, that I used on the AC motor in a Saniflow pump. Not quite the right capacitance, but it will prove whether this is the problem with the pump, and at least get it working even if it's slightly underpowered due to the lower capacitance. And I'll change it to the right capacitance later on. So a simple matter of changing the capacitor over. There's actually only 2 terminals on a single capacitor, which is what this actually is. These two are actually connected together, and these two are connected together, so the capacitance is actually across these pairs of capacitance. So you can put this terminal on either one of those, and likewise that one on either one of those. And that's the job. So before we put all the electrics back together again, we'll just give that a quick test. See if the motor now runs. Be careful with electrics, of course. Make sure it's all dismantled before you start taking the electrics. Sorry, make sure it's all disconnected before you start taking the electrics apart. Please don't electrocute yourself. And if you do, it wasn't my fault because I told you to be careful. So let's just give this a quick test. Yep. And the motor is now pumping. So as I say, it might be slightly underpowered until they change to the proper 25 microfarads, but for the moment that'll do, and we'll see how powerful that is and change it later on. Hopefully that helps somebody out there with the same problem, saves buying another jet washer for £100 or so, $100, $200, whatever you pay, and will give you a bit more life out of your equipment. And as I say, the same thing applies to a lot of AC motors, that over time these components that are actually quite highly stressed because of the high voltage, and the same thing applies to high voltage transistors. That's normally the thing that goes in equipment that is running on the mains. Just to say what's happened to that, look at it, it's overheated. It's a complete disaster. But anyhow, hopefully you will be able to fix your own jet washer or your own AC motor out there, and I hope this helps. Right, thanks for watching. Bye.